Hello, it's Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for our March the 30th lesson in A Course in Miracles workbook for students from the original edition, lesson 89. These are our review ideas for today, 77 being I am entitled to miracles, and lesson 78, let miracles replace all grievances. So I am entitled to miracles as your morning review. I am entitled to miracles because I am under no laws but God's. His laws release me from all grievances and replace them with miracles. And I would accept the miracles in place of the grievances, which are but illusions that hide the miracles beyond. Now I would accept only what the laws of God entitle me to have, that I may use it on behalf of the function He has given me. You might use these suggestions for specific applications of this idea. And so instead of saying, I am entitled to miracles, you might, if you get tempted to hold a grievance, say, behind this is a miracle to which I am entitled. Or you might say, let me not hold a grievance against you, friend, but offer you the miracle that belongs to you instead. And use their name specifically if you know it. Let me not hold a grievance against you, friend, but offer you the miracle that belongs to you instead. Or you might say, seen truly, this offers me a miracle. There's straightening up your mind, and you can tell yourself, well, I'm looking at a grievance. I'm looking at an appearance of an attack, either on me or me attacking, or me being attacked, or somebody being attacked. And I could just as well see what's real, which is love, the miracle. All right? So you can remind yourself by saying, seen truly, this offers me a miracle. And then for your afternoon review, let miracles replace all grievances. By this idea do I unite my will with the Holy Spirit's and perceive them as one. By this idea do I accept my release from hell. By this idea do I express my willingness to have all my illusions be replaced with truth, according to God's plan for my salvation. I would make no exceptions and no substitutes. I want all of heaven and only heaven, as God wills me have. I want all of heaven and only heaven, as God wills me have. Useful specific forms for applying this idea would be, so the general idea, let me replace all grievances, let miracles replace all grievances is the general idea. Well, some specific applications that you might use. I would not hold this grievance apart from my salvation. Or, let our grievances be replaced by miracles, friend, and name the person. Let our grievances be replaced by miracles. You can say that out loud or silently to yourself. Let our grievances be replaced by miracles. I can see you saying that if you're in a heated argument, both of you are upset, and then at some point you might say, hey, you know what? Let's trade these grievances. Let our grievances be replaced by miracles. You can see that, huh? And if you can't do it out loud because you think it might just make the situation even worse, to the right person, that might be a wonderful bringing back to center for both people. But, you know, if even one person comes to center and enters back into the kingdom of heaven, the holy instant, the other person is assisted, helped. Okay? Beyond this is the miracle by which all grievances are replaced. That's another one you might say. Beyond this is the miracle by which all grievances. Beyond this is the miracle by which all my grievances are replaced. Let miracles replace all grievances will be your afternoon review. Be sure to take your 15 minutes for the afternoon and 15 minutes in the morning. And then throughout the day, at least once an hour, maybe twice an hour, maybe more if you can, as often as possible. Tell yourself, in the morning, I am entitled to miracles, and in the afternoon, let miracles replace all grievances. Okay, let us take a look in our text, and we're ready for paragraph 97. Let's start in paragraph 96 in chapter 15, The Purpose of Time, section 10, The Time of Christ. And like I said, we'll begin in paragraph 96. While you're turning there, I couldn't sit in my garden. I wasn't able to catch that. We had 2 live animal traps, and I wasn't able to catch that groundhog last night, so we'll try it again tonight. But it's really windy today, so I've decided to come sit in the hollow. So a little bit quieter in here in the not totally out of the wind, but much more than up in on the top, up on the top. Okay, I wanted to tell you about, out of the Seed Saver Exchange, the green Oakleaf lettuce. I like this because I like Oakleaf lettuce. I mentioned that to you, but this particular one has a lot of promise. It's called green Oakleaf, reportedly known as Baltimore or Philadelphia Oakleaf in the 1880s. This lettuce is now called by a more geographically neutral name and enjoyed by many. It withstands hot weather. Now that is a key component. Around here we have such a short growing season for cool. By the time you can put things out, because it's not going to get wiped out by frost, usually consider about April 15th around here as last frost date. Though you can plant lettuces earlier than that, it's just that you may need to cover them if it gets down really cold. Down into the teens, you'd probably want to cover it. The 20s, the high 20s, if it's been hardened off and it's kind of acclimated, probably handle it. But I've had a lot of years where I thought it could handle it, and I came out the next morning and it didn't handle it. The frost just kind of withers them away. But anyway, I like this idea that it withstands hot weather. It says it withstands hot weather, never tastes bitter, which is generally what happens with your older lettuces. They get bitter flavor as they get older, and has an excellent quality that extends even into the late summer. Loose leaf, and it's 50 days, so that might be a really good lettuce for around here, the green oak leaf. We could grow some during the summer, some oak leaf lettuce. Okay, let's take up at paragraph 96. You see no other alternatives, for you cannot accept the fact that sacrifice gets nothing. Sacrifice is so essential to your thought system that salvation apart from sacrifice means nothing to you. Your confusion of sacrifice and love is so profound that you cannot conceive of love without sacrifice. And it is this that you must look upon. Sacrifice is attack, not love. If you would accept but this one idea, your fear of love would vanish. If you would accept but this one idea, your fear of love would vanish. And what's that one idea? It is this that you must look upon. Sacrifice is attack, not love. If you would accept but this one idea, your fear of love would vanish. Guilt cannot last when the idea of sacrifice has been removed. For if there is sacrifice, as you are convinced, someone must pay and someone must get. And the only question which remains to be decided is how much is the price for getting what? 97. As host to the ego, you believe that you can give all your guilt away, whatever you think, and purchase peace. And the payment does not seem to be yours. While it is obvious that the ego does demand payment, it never seems to be demanding it of you. For you are unwilling to recognize that the ego which you invited is treacherous only to those who think they are its host. The ego will never let you perceive this, since this recognition would make it homeless. Make the ego homeless because you would withdraw your allegiance to it. So what's he say? You are unwilling to recognize that the ego which you invited in is treacherous only to those who think they are its host. The ego will never let you perceive this, since this recognition would make it homeless. For when this recognition dawns clearly, you will not be deceived by any form the ego takes to protect itself from your sight. We want that realization to dawn clearly. Let's read it one more time. The ego will never let you perceive this. For you are unwilling to recognize that the ego which you invited is treacherous only to those who think they are its host. The ego will never let you perceive this, since this recognition would make it homeless. For when this recognition dawns clearly, you will not be deceived by any form the ego takes to protect itself from your sight. You are unwilling to recognize that the ego which you invited, we just want to quit inviting it, is treacherous only to those who think they are its host. Okay, going on. Paragraph 98, each form will be recognized as but a cover for the one idea that hides behind them all, that love demands sacrifice, and is therefore inseparable from attack and fear. Wow, there's the idea behind it all. So we want to free ourselves from the illusion that this could be. Each form, each ego perception will be recognized as but a cover for the one idea that hides behind them all, that love demands sacrifice, and is therefore inseparable from attack and fear. Wow. And that guilt is the price of love, which must be paid by fear. How fearful then has God become to you, and how great a sacrifice do you believe his love demands? For total love would demand total sacrifice. And so the ego seems to demand less of you than God, and of the two is judged as the lesser of two evils, one to be feared little, but the other to be destroyed. For you see love as destructive, and your only question is, who is to be destroyed, you or another? You seek to answer this question in your special relationships, in which you are both destroyer and destroyed in part, but with the idea of being able to be neither completely. And this you think saves you from God, whose total love would completely destroy you. Well, we need our minds straightened out, don't we? 99. You think that everyone outside yourself demands your sacrifice, but you do not see that only you demand sacrifice, and only of yourself. Yet the demand of sacrifice is so savage and so fearful that you cannot accept it where it is. But the real price of not accepting this has been so great that you have given God away rather than look at it. For if God would demand total sacrifice of you, you thought it safer to project him outward and away from you, and not be host to him. To him you ascribed the ego's treachery, inviting it to take his place to protect you from him. And you do not recognize that it is what you invited in that would destroy you, and does demand total sacrifice of you. No partial sacrifice will appease this savage guest, for it is an invader who but seems to offer kindness, but always to make the sacrifice complete. In the last paragraph to finish this section, 100, you will not succeed in being partial hostage to the ego, for it keeps no bargains and would leave you nothing. You will not succeed in being partial hostage to the ego, for it keeps no bargains, it's not to be trusted, and would leave you nothing. Nor can you be partial host to it. You will have to choose between total freedom and total bondage, for there are no alternatives but these. He makes it pretty clear. Either you have total freedom or total bondage. One or the other. There are no alternatives but these. The kingdom of heaven, or the appearance of a kingdom called hell. And you don't have to die to get there. I keep pointing that out to you all. This is something that happens now. You can enter the kingdom of heaven now. Matter of fact, that's the only time you can enter the kingdom of heaven is now. You will have to choose between total freedom and total bondage, for there are no alternatives but these. You've tried many compromises in the attempt to avoid recognizing the one decision which must be made. And yet it is the recognition of the decision just as it is that makes the decision so easy. It is the recognition of the decision just as it is. Reminds me of the song, Just As I Am. Okay, so it is the recognition of the decision just as it is that makes the decision so easy. Salvation is simple, being of God, and therefore very easy to understand. Do not try to project it from you and see it outside yourself. In you are both the question and the answer, the demand for sacrifice and the peace of God. Well, hopefully you'll come just as you are, just as I am, in just this moment where he says, it is the recognition of the decision just as it is that makes the decision so easy. You're choosing between peace and attack in your mind. And that's where salvation is of the mind. And we're learning that we don't have to have thoughts of bondage. We can choose thoughts of peace. Okay, that was nice reading. A lot there. You may have to go back and read it a time or two more, but hopefully it's coming clear to you. Our lesson today, 89, in the morning, I am entitled to miracles. Be sure to use it if you need it in the form, behind this is a miracle to which I am entitled, or let me not hold a grievance against you, friend, but offer you the miracle that belongs to you instead. Seen truly, this offers me a miracle. And then in the afternoon, at least when you start the afternoon's review, even if you don't take your longer 15 minutes in the middle of the day, at least take time to read through it, get it clear in your mind, and then try to practice it throughout the day. And like we've just done with the morning one. We actually did them both. I read to you some of the things you might say if you're tempted. So, I am entitled to miracles. Let miracles replace all grievances. Thank you all so very much for joining me out here in the Hollow and to study A Course in Miracles here in the Ozark Hollows. So until tomorrow, I am entitled to miracles, and let miracles replace all grievances.